do you then believe that, or is it possible that external shame can then manifest itself internally into someone and then and that shame could appear in different ways in their life?
So external shame. Yeah, give me an example of what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So someone is shamed to not have children out of wedlock, for example, right?
Mm,
And now what they do is that they live a life because they don't want to
mm,
experience that shame.
mm,
And now when they manifest that external shame into themselves, they view, okay, sex with multiple people, I feel this way about it. Sex with um seeing prostitution or seeing sex workers, I view them this way. They feel ashamed that it's not other people necessarily telling them, but because they could take it from something else as
mm,
children outside marriage and how do you have children, sex, they start to see it
mm.
in other areas.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. So there's an association with, in their mind, sex past these certain boundaries that just kind of, it always is shameful in their mind. That makes sense. Yeah. I definitely think so. I guess, when you say that, it makes me think how, yeah, that I think we all do that with lots of things when we're taught those things from our primary attachment figures. So our parents usually. And, the resolution to that would be to start questioning what we were taught by her attachment figures to kind of take our parents off the throne, off the God throne, and saying, you know what? They were just human. And they thought that was the way to keep me from having a child out of wedlock. And it makes sense. But man, did it really mess with me. And I don't agree. Do I agree? I don't think I do. And really kind of deconstruct that in our mind and really, and most importantly, just see where that shame came from and kind of give it back to the source in our imagination.
I agree. I agree. Like it's one thing to look at the world and say, okay, certain behaviors will lead to certain outcomes. Right? You analyze it, you can understand. I think what a lot of people, and to your point, is that they're told something, let's say from their parents or a religious figure, someone of a certain stature in their life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Either, let's say, a parental figure, a religious figure, a cultural figure, whatever the case is. And then we take it as the gospel, but then there's that voice inside of us that's like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
about this, right? But the conditioning is so hard for them to break free. What do you think are then some of the obstacles that maybe people face when it comes to questioning some of
Mm-hmm.
the things that they're taught when it comes to shame, when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
hate, when it comes to anger that people maybe struggle with to overcome?
Yeah. So I think it's really important when you say the conditioning, and I agree, that's the right word. We need to go back to when we first kind of appropriated these beliefs. And so I call that, as a therapist, I call that an imprinting memory. So, if little Terrain was taught at age 8 that, you know, it is so shameful to have a child out of wedlock, and he's making all these associations, we need to go to little Terrain at age 8 and that moment actually. And that's not hard to do. It's not hard to go back to even very early imprinting memories. So, what I do, and I do this on my podcast, I lead my listeners through this exercise that I have started doing the last few years with my clients because I want everyone to do this for themselves. I want this exercise, but it's called an integration exercise. And so, what we can do, and I do this for myself today, even. So, when we feel shame, so I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I got into an argument with my daughter. And when I cooled down about an hour later, I sat down in this very comfy chair right now and I just closed my eyes and I kind of revisited our whole conversation and like what it entailed because I had to kind of unpack it all. It just kind of, went a little haywire. And I realized, okay, I we got in a fight because I could not be in her presence without us talking. And she didn't want to talk. I asked her a few questions. She didn't want to answer them. So I got angry with her. And I realized, oh my God. And so this is what I'm talking about right now is us reflecting. Humans really need to reflect.